Good afternoon and namaste. I'm Hemraj Kafle. I welcome you everybody to the special episode of the program Dristikon for Arunika Television. We are in Kathmandu University with a special guest, Professor Dr. John C. Badu, the honorary president of the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, Lausanne, Switzerland. We'll talk about Professor Badu's life and achievements today. So let me welcome him. Welcome, Professor.
Namaste.
Namaste. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling well.
Okay.
Happy to be in Nepal.
Happy to be in Nepal. So, for how long do you know Nepal?
For 20 years, practically.
20
Almost.
years. All right. So, okay, how should a commoner, let it be Nepali or any other person, describe you, in your opinion?
I would say as an engineer, a doer, and a grandfather.
Okay. How do you connect being an engineer and a grandfather together?
Because I'm a human being, and a family is important for me. I have 19 grandchildren, and a few are engineers also, but I'm basically an engineer and a doer.
So it's interesting. Okay, whose population is higher in your family? That of engineers or any other professionals?
Oh yes, I have grandchildren who are studying law, who are nurses, who are teachers. There is not only engineering in life.
So it is a complete multidisciplinary family.
Yes, very clearly.
How do you feel seeing all people at a time? People belonging to different fields.
This is a joy, a deep joy for me to have the whole family together.
Okay. Let me ask you a few questions that relate to your experience with Nepal. So when did it really start that you wanted to come to Nepal and do something?
You see, Switzerland and Nepal are small countries, Switzerland even more than Nepal. Switzerland and Nepal are in the mountains. Switzerland practically the highest in Europe and Nepal the highest in the world. Okay. It is as important for the culture of the different countries. And we both have big neighbors who are not always very easy to be neighbors. So there is a similitude between the history, the culture of mountainous people in Switzerland and mountainous people in Nepal.
Okay, you see that similarity. So, very personal question. Did you learn anything from Nepal instead?
Certainly, certainly. First, I learned the great spirituality, which is important to me. Okay. I learned the common humanity between Nepal and Europe. Common humanity.
So what is your first, let's say, when was your first visit to Kathmandu University and how did it happen?
It happens because first, the first country that Switzerland related to in the third world in the 1940s was Nepal, the very first. And then many Swiss came here because of the similitude of culture. And for some reasons, I was in contact in 2003 with the founding Vice Chancellor of KU, Professor Suresh Sharma, who became a friend in the meantime. And because of him, I came more than 16 years ago for the first time in Dulikal at KU. And I came about 20 times since.
20 times?
Yeah.
Okay, you also came as a special guest in one of the convocations in 2012,
yes.
I guess.
Yes.
All right. So you have seen Nepal for the last 20 years.
Yes.
So how do you see its evolution from 20 years ago to now?
Yeah, I would say the first striking point is that there are less children. Second one, that there is more affluence, more money.
Okay.
And the third one would be that there is more security.
In Nepal.
Yeah.
Which one do you think most important?
In the long run, it is the birth rate.
A little bit of your experience with working in Kathmandu University or for Kathmandu University.
Yeah.
Please highlight that.
It is a pleasure to find a research university. The idea of the three founders was to have excellent worldwide research university.
Okay.
And it is what is being accomplished here. A university which is mixing teaching, and there is no good teaching if there is not love for the student, respect for the student, research, applied research especially, and technology transfer. Okay. And there is a will here to reach those three goals.
So you had that firm belief that Kathmandu University would really grow into a research cum teaching university.
Yeah.
And you had an expectation at the beginning that the university would grow up to your belief. Do you find now that the university has met that expectation in these 20 years?
Yes, it is always a fight. It is excellent to have a vision. It is necessary to have a vision. It is not always easy to reach those visions, but very clearly a lot has been accomplished since I know the university here. Really a lot.
So, if anybody asks you what is your contribution to Nepal in general and to Kathmandu University in particular, what points would you highlight?
I don't know if I have any contribution really to Nepal. Nepal is big enough without me. I am richer because I know the Nepali societies, the Nepali culture.
Yeah. So my second part of the question was, what would you call your contribution to Kathmandu University?
Maybe to insist on the importance of the respect of the students here, to make sure that all the professors, all the teachers take the students seriously and not first their research.
So that what defines the European education system?
Well, Europe has quite different education system. If you take Germany, France, and England, three of the big countries in Europe, the education system have been quite different. And for example, the first technical university in Europe was in France, more than 230 years ago. Then Germany had and has still very important technical university, and the British went different ways, for example. So engineering in Europe is not true in is not valuable the same way in every European country. But if you take France and Germany, Switzerland, the Scandinavian countries, the contribution of science and engineering has been major.
So my question was overall, as you say, Kathmandu University always advised us to love the students, to care for the students. So my question was, that's what the European universities also put emphasis on, the value of the university.
It was a challenge for me as technical university president to insist on that point with my professors. There is a tough competition in the energy of the professors in Europe between research and teaching, and the the first goal of any education institution is to do a good teaching. And it is a challenge in Europe, it is a challenge in Nepal.
Yeah, obviously. I feel that because in a university like ours, which places emphasis on a parallel development in research and teaching, there is also some kind of tension between how to segregate. Like a person who is good at teaching may not be necessarily willing to go for research.
Yeah.
So do you think this will remain a perennial kind of conflict, whether, I would not say conflict, but a kind of confusion, whether we can strike a balance between that teaching and a research group within a university system?
We are continuously looking for a balance, at least I was. It is never a perfect balance, but I had the opportunity, the chance to choose, and I was personally involved very strongly in everyone. 139 professors at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Lausanne. And in the interviews, in the choice of the professors, it was very important not to look only to the number of publications, to the research results, but to look at the personality, to look at the interest for other people, interest for students that the professors would demonstrate.
That's an interesting point, and I would take it to be a kind of indirect advice to even our universities in Nepal. So placing value on the quality that really empathizes on the students. Okay. Yeah, you have seen so many people growing in the teaching field in, again, as we say, they're trying to strike balance between being a teacher and a researcher.
Yeah.
So, what would be your message to the youngest of the young professors in Nepal and in Kathmandu University?
Be a complete human being. Look for the truth in every way possible. At the end, it is a truth that we are looking for all over the world and all over history. So be yourself and be a balanced personality, to take the words that you used before.
It's interesting. If you don't mind, would you explain a bit what makes a complete human being? Maturity in terms of aging or exposure, a kind of,
It is to accomplish yourself in all phases of life. You have to be a good professional. You have to work hard. You have to try to do your work, which is at the end for the society. You have to try to do your work as something special, something good. But you also have to have an interest in culture, in art. One way to look for the truth is through painting, is through music. And I think you are not a complete human being if you don't have somehow some spiritual needs and some spiritual goals.
What were your own passions apart from being an engineer or a technologist and in industry, academia, connector, mediator? Special passions, like you said, art, music. Did you also have such passions or inclination for
Yes, I like poems. I respond very strongly to music or to some paintings, not to any music or any painting, but I have a certain sense and I like to share that with people I meet and so on. So my personal experience is that you need that to have a balanced personality.
Okay. So that means, did you have the same kind of, sensibility when you were very young as an engineer? I've seen that many engineers or scientists, in a way, sideline that part of their nature, like inclination to art, that part of intelligence they have acquired by birth, in pursuit of very hardcore technical, area. Did you feel that at the beginning of your life when you
I
were growing
think,
up?
honestly, I can say yes.
Yeah.
Philosophy was already important for me when I was 17 or 18 years old.
Okay.
So history was extremely important to me when I was in high school. So I think, honestly, I can respond that I had that interest for other side of our cultural life already well more than 60 years ago.
So that, in a way, molded you to be a complete human being, apart from,
Yeah. I'm not a technician.
Yeah.
I'm a doer, an engineer, but I am not at all a technician.
You're also a kind of philosopher and the
Yeah.
philosopher of your
Yeah.
own accord.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So there is a, repeated and a widespread talk about industry academia linkage and connection and constant collaboration. You have made it happen in your own institution. So how was it possible?
You see, Nepal and Switzerland have no great mining resources, no oil, but we have people. And the more we go, the more important factor of development of power, it is knowledge. It is not new, but it is even more important now than 200 years ago. And where does the knowledge develop? Not only in universities, but also in universities. And the goal of universities is to help develop the knowledge, but the society, the economy will use that knowledge. The people that we train will go into their life, their professional life, their life generally, and use that knowledge. So why do we have such development in some part of Europe, in California, in Boston? It is because there have been great technical universities like Caltech, like MIT, which produce the knowledge and then pull to them the best people in the world, the best young people in the world.
Okay. So that's a very successful model, like pulling people from the industries and asking them to share their experiences with the students. And how about pulling people from universities and taking them to the industries?
It has to be both ways. And it was, our society changes so fast that you cannot stay for 40 years just in a position. And I insisted when I hired my 139 professors on them to have, most of them at least 7-8 years of practical experience in their profession and not in academia. On the other side, people from academia should go later to industry for sabbatical years, and people from industry know that they need to come back to universities to learn the new developments. The challenge of the computer, the challenge at the borderline between medical school and engineering, biotechnology is such that the people in the society, even in the government, I would say, should come back to universities during their career.
Right. You talked about government. Do you see that, okay, how often do governments look up to the university to prepare human resources in your part of the world?
Okay, Swiss Federal Institute of Technology means that we are a public institution compared with Caltech and MIT that I mentioned before. It means that we have 2/3 of our budget which comes from the federal government, and this is extremely important so that we don't have to charge too high tuitions for good education. So my understanding is that if it is possible, it is good to have private institution and public institution in competition.
And my question is like, how often does the government ask the university to prepare a certain kind of human resource that the government would employ?
It was not a question in Switzerland. The government, the politician, when they insisted in parliament for the budget of our 2 technical universities, they insisted about the society, the country, okay, but not about specifically government employees.
All right. So we very often hear this debate about universities being commercialized or corporatizing in a way, because we place a lot of emphasis on sustainable growth of the university without the government's direct subsidies. So in that way, in a way, giving growth to extreme administrative interference in academic affairs. So like even some people have this concept of the death of the original classical definition of universities, because we are so much driven to marketization of our graduates. So any idea that you have experienced?
Yes, it is always a debate also in Europe, also in Switzerland. You have to be careful on both sides. You can, you are on the edge and you can fall both sides. So I said knowledge is the engine of the economical, societal development. So we need that knowledge. On the other side, we have to keep some freedom. And I must say I was lucky because the Swiss government, the Swiss politician, from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology date from the 80s, 50s, never really mixed into the life of the technical university. The only strong points are that the government decides the budget for the 2/3 of the money that we get from the government, and the government elects the school presidents, not the professors, but the government. And these are the 2 ways where the government intervenes, but the government has been very conscious that in academia, if you want to develop the search for truth and all the knowledge development, you need a lot of academic freedom. I don't come from a world where academic freedom is holy. It is part of life, it is one element, but the well-being of the people, for example, I have a grandson who has a bad cancer now. I'm happy, I'm thankful that technical universities and medical school with the industry develop new drugs and new way to treat cancer. So I don't think medical school professors or engineering professors should just do their own research in complete freedom. We are in the society, we are part of the society, we need the society, but we should contribute to the society. So if we are wise, if we are honest, we can work together, government, academia, and economy.
Do you have anything to say to Nepali people about their future and the way you have seen Nepal and the way you would like to see Nepal?
I would first say Nepal should keep its roots, its values, its way of seeing the life and the world, and not be completely influenced by superficial world culture. Keep your roots.
Thank you, Professor, for your time and very valuable words. On behalf of Araniko Television and Kathmandu University, I wish you all the best for your good health and life ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.